The vast majority of the people working in the bars we work with need proper training. So training in our industry is garbage. It just is. Even if you got trained somewhere really well, let's say you're working down the street, their martini is a 3-ounce pour. You go to this next place, it's of your base. The next place, it's a 2.5-ounce pour, but they don't tell you. They say, oh, you know how to make a martini. You work down there. Oh, you must. Yeah, you already know how to do this stuff, right? Yeah, great. We have different recipes. We have different base pour sizes.
This episode brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, owner of Barmetrix Miami, author of best-selling book, The Bar Shift, 41 management lessons you don't want to learn the hard way, and soon to be second author of the book, Hospitality DNA, Career Journeys with Unprecedented Insights from the Industry, from award winners. Dave Domzalski. Dave, my man, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely
Dave.
unstoppable, man.
That motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
What I got for you, this is a personal one for me. It's a very horribly paraphrased from Abraham Lincoln. Whatever you are, be a good one.
Whatever you are, be a good one. So why does that resonate with you?
So I see two groups of people in my entire life experience, but especially in bars and restaurants. Those who are there to pass the time, make a check, and do whatever, and those who actively participate in whatever it is they're doing to try to be the best at that activity, that job, and so on. And those who really just have the idea that whatever I'm doing, why not?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm actively trying to be good at what I'm doing, they tend to succeed anywhere they want to in life, right? It's one of the greatest determiners of success. So if I see a bar back hustling, cruising around, whatever. I actually had a kid in Baltimore, best guy I've ever had. He was amazing. Wanted to be a social worker, and when he got into that field, he got everything he wanted because that's just his mentality.
What are the 5 most impactful ways to coach people up to that point where their shrinkage is as low as possible?
The first core piece is average human being. And you can look at, there's studies, the Khan Institute, I think it's called, Gallup. They do these studies on would somebody steal and all that stuff. Really complex, interesting, whatever. But if you just dumb it down, it follows 80-20, right? Everything follows 80-20. Yeah. The average person doesn't come to work with the mindset of, I can't wait to rip off this guy I work for, who I know really well. I'm going to take his stuff, and I'm going to go home and build my bar. We have found, and we've caught some, but it's rare. It's rare. The vast majority of the people working in the bars we work with need proper training. So training in our industry is garbage. It just is. Even if you got trained somewhere really well, let's say you're working down the street, their martini is a 3-ounce pour. You go to this next place, it's of your base. The next place, it's a 2.5-ounce pour, but they don't tell you. They say, oh, you know how to make a martini. You work down there. Oh, you must. Yeah, you already know how to do this stuff, right? Yeah, great. We have different recipes. We have different base pour sizes. So that's one piece.
Real quick, so I can, for the moderating purposes, we're talking about the first, one thing, right?
The first one thing is that.
What's the title of the first one thing?
The first one thing, the majority of issues are down to honest human
mistakes.
Honest human mistakes, or the honest human element, because there's 2 pieces. One is the training piece.
Got it.
Nobody ever taught me how to do that. They let me free pour. I don't know. The only way you have the right to free pour is if you practice every day for at least a half an hour, and you've already practiced for hours before that. We have a separate software package that can measure how accurate people are. The number of 99% accuracy people I've found after I've personally done about 600 of those, and in Barmetrix it's thousands. Right. I found 3.
Number one, the honest human element is the biggest issue because of poor training.
And the number one piece of the human element is this: make sure that they're not trying to remember multiple orders,
because they're just not practice around how to actually serve the guests as far as the process.
100%.
Got it.
The second one is that you can't ignore your point. You can't set it and forget it. Is what we say. I say don't set it and forget it. That's actually in the bar shift.
So number 2, don't set it
and forget it. And in particular, that's with the point of sale. Many point of sale systems.
What do you mean set it and forget it? Elaborate.
Set it and forget. Okay, so opening day.
Yeah.
I program my point of sale. I walk away, and I never look at the back end again.
Okay.
Or rarely. I don't have a process built in to say, is this working correctly?
Got it.
I don't have a process for feedback from the staff say, is this working correctly?
So when you say
number 3, it comes. So this one goes to the management side of the conversation. Understanding what management really is, what managing people is, the difference between managing and coaching, as again the gentleman was talking about in the last that other podcast you had, and treating your team as a group of individuals or people who are trying to do their best and need the support to be coached up to get this stuff right, and they're only human, and it takes time, repetition. And I would say understanding of any given person's learning mechanisms and processes to be able to execute change in the business. Coach managers to coach their team. They'll say, oh, I already said that. I keep saying that. Okay, well, they're obviously not listening. Have you asked them why they're not doing this? What's the real reason behind it? Oh, okay, they do that and say, oh, well, turns out they weren't washing the glasses because the dishwasher keeps leaking down and, this, whatever. And not assuming that they're not doing it because they're lazy or stupid or whatever, but actually engaging with them as people who care and want to work in the business. And it's that simple. Really.
So number 3 is the difference between managing. What's number 4?
So number 4 is to not ignore the supply chain element of the process, right? Yeah. So it's easy to look at, I have stuff here, I'm receiving stuff, I'm storing stuff, and say, oh, well, that just is. It just is part of my business. It has nothing to do with my losses or how things are happening on the front end. But it has a huge impact on it. And there's three main parts of that, right? Yeah. So there's how we're ordering, how we are ordering and receiving things. And it's shocking to me how many people do not have an ordering and receiving process. Best practice: create a purchase order or a PO. So have a piece of paper that says this is what's supposed to arrive, and then have somebody check it in when it gets there. Have the right amount of stuff on hand. And then the third one is the organization of it in that conversation and supply chain. How things are organized is a lot more important than people might think.
Give me an example of why.
First off, if things are organized in one particular way, in the same way, the staff can get to it really quickly when they need to restock something. So number 5 is have the right person do the job.
Yep.